Hey there, Stampers. Welcome to a bonus Facebook Live for this week, where we're going to play with the Friendly Gnomes stamp set from the January to April mini catalog. All right, I'm just updating my iPad here. Okay. All right, so like I said, this is a bonus Facebook Live. I'm still doing Fridays live at 9:30 a.m., so hopefully you'll be able to join me then. But I wanted to pop in today to share with you the 3 card kits that you'll receive if you shop with me in February. All right, and I chose to use the Friendly Gnome stamp set because it is so cute, and I wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to use it while it's still available. Because remember, the January to April mini catalog is only good until April. So 4 months seems like a lot less time to use stuff. But the other thing that I wanted to point out is that this stamp set actually coordinates with the gnome dies. So these dies were the dies that went with the Storybook Gnome Suite in the July to December mini catalog. So I love it when Stampin' Up! Does that. When they come out with a bundle and then one or both of them carry over and then they add something so that you can round out your collection really nicely. So if you have that more wintry holiday themed gnome set or bundle, then you may want to add these Friendly Gnomes to your collection as well to round it out, and then something that you can use year round. The other thing that I want to point out before we get into the projects for today is that these dies are on the low inventory list, which means that once they're gone for good. Okay, a lot of times we do get something will go on low inventory and then it will be temporarily unavailable. However, Stampin' Up! Has informed us that once these dies sell out, they're gone for good. So if you have this stamp set and do not yet have these dies, you'll want to pick them up sooner than later while they're still available. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to make 3 cards today, and I've combined it with a few different products. So I've combined that bundle or that stamp set and the dies with a little bit of the Dandy Designs DSP, which is one of our celebration offerings. This is a paper stack that is available for free with a qualifying purchase. This is a level 2 celebration item. So when you spend $120, you get this paper stack. And this is one of the patterns. And I absolutely love the patterns and the colors in this collection of DSPs. It's so fun. And I always am drawn towards patterned papers that have like kind of simple geometric patterns because they can be used for so many different things. All right. Good afternoon, Linda. Welcome. The other thing that I'm using today is I am using the For Everything Fancy sequence. I think that's what it's called. This is a sequence collection that is in the annual catalog. You get all 3 containers. And I absolutely love this sequence collection because if you look in here, not only are you getting pink sequins, but you're getting some glittery clear sequins, you're getting some gold, there's some silver in there, there's a variety of sizes, there's some white flat back pearls in there, and there's some solid ones without holes, there's some hexagon shaped ones. Like, it is just a really nice mix of sequins. All right, and you get all of those for the 3 different colors. Now, this is a lot of sequins. Like, this is going to last you a really long time. I did a class in January where my focus was on using sequins and different ways of using sequins and kind of trying to use some sequins up. And I used a lot of this sequence, but still have a lot left. So this will go a long way. But just so that you know, if you shop with me in February using this month's host code, with your $60 order, you'll get the 3 card kits for the cards that I'm creating today. But with your $100 order, not only will you get the 3 card kits and a thank you card, but you'll also get a little sampling of this sequence. So you'll get 3 little packages of all 3 of those sequins, and even just this will go a long way. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and start crafting here. All right, so first of all, I want to point out now what you see here is exactly what you'll receive if you receive the card kits. Okay, so here, what I've done is I have taken a piece of the DSP and I've taken this die from the Basic Borders die set and I cut this triangle, okay? Or I guess it's not a triangle. It's a, well, it cuts it to a point and it adds the stitching, okay? But I want to trim this down so that it's not quite as tall or high. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut it to, I think it was 2.5 inches. So I'm going to put the point at the 2.5 inch mark and then just trim it down. All right. And we can save this little bit. We can use this on the inside of our card. Okay. And then we've got 2 pieces of white. One of them is going to be for the inside. This one we're going to do some stamping on. And then you've got a circle in your kit as well that was cut. It was using the second smallest circle from the Beautiful Shapes dies, which is about 1.5 inches. Okay, so we are going to do some stamping and we're going to color in. Now my method of coloring, my favorite method of coloring is Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to use Stampin' Blends. But if you receive this kit and you prefer to color in with watercolor pencils, you can color in with watercolor pencils. You can color in with whatever you would like to color in, and you can color it in any color. All right, so I'm going to take this sweet little mushroom image, stamp it right down on here. And then I'm going to take the Gnome Sweet Gnome. So this card would be great for somebody who maybe just purchased a home or just moved. But you could switch out this greeting for a birthday greeting, a thinking of you greeting, a thank you. You could really customize it using whatever you'd like. And then I'm going to take this floral image, and this piece is going to be for the inside of our card. And I'm going to just do all my stamping all at once here. I'm going to stamp that in that lower corner as well. All right, so all of our stamping is done. Now we're going to bring in our Stampin' Blends and do some coloring. You can see that I've got quite a few colors here, but again, remember you can switch it up, use whatever colors you'd like, and color in however you'd like. One thing I do want to point out though is depending on what you're coloring with, you may need to change out your ink. So I'm coloring with blends, so Memento is the best ink to stamp my image in. If you are coloring in with something else and maybe doing some watercoloring, then you'll want to use StazOn instead of Memento. Okay, all right, so now all of our coloring's done. we can go ahead and start assembling. So I'm going to bring in a piece of Coastal Cabana. I love Coastal Cabana, but it's not a color I use very often. I'm going to put that on there. And then that is going to go onto my Granny Apple card base. Oh, thank you, Linda. So that's going to go on here. We have a little bit of a wider border of the Granny Apple showing. And then this is going to go on here, and you'll notice I'm lining it up with the top edge, but it is a little bit wider than both of my layers, and I did that on purpose. There we go. And then we've got a little bit of white twine. We're just going to tie a bow with this. And we'll use a mini glue dot. To adhere this. Just pick that off, pop it right on here. Add that on there, and then we'll grab a couple dimensionals. We'll add those on either side of that knot. And then pop our grating on top. And then the last step to the outside of our card is to take some of our sequins. Now, when you're working with sequins, I strongly recommend that you have a take your pick tool and some multi-purpose glue. The take your pick tool, if you're not familiar with it, this is a tool, it's a multi-use tool. So on this end here, there is this little, it's like sticky. It's almost like a putty or something, but it's sticky. So that you can go in here and you can pick out the sequence that you want. So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna grab one of those sparkly ones. We'll grab a little silver or gold. We'll do gold because that's what came out. And then we'll grab one more sparkly one and we'll pop it up there. Okay, the other thing that the Take Your Pick tool has is it's got a paper piercing tool on the end, and then you can flip it around and it's got a little spatula as well. And I believe there is another attachment that you can use as well, I think. I never used the other one. Okay, so we're just going to add just a little dot. And I think I'm almost out of adhesive, and I really don't want to push too hard. I don't want a big glob coming out. And then I just like to take my paper piercing tool and kind of position that in place. Then we'll add this guy. This saves your fingers getting all messy and sticky. I'll pop that guy on there. All right. So the outside of our card is done. Now we're going to go ahead and do the inside. Now remember, I had this little strip left over from when I trimmed off the top of this. So I'm going to use that and add that to the top of my card as well, because you might as well use all your little bits and pieces, right? It should be 4 inches. It should fit perfectly here. And that brings in that little bit of color from the outside of our card. And that's going to go on the inside, and there is our card done. So that is the first card using the Friendly Gnomes stamp set. Isn't it cute? So fun. All right, next one up. Let's see, let me move this over here. Okay, now for this one, we're going to do Balmy Blue. And we've got 2 pieces of white. One, again, is going to be for the inside. one is going to be for the outside. So the smaller piece is for the outside. And we're going to bring in our Simply Scored board. Now you could definitely do this with a paper trimmer as well, but I'm going to use my Simply Scored board. So I've got this smaller piece of white. I've got my stylus. That's the other tip on here. There's one that has a stylus as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to create a little bit of a border around the edges. So I am going to go to the 1/4 inch mark here, and I'm going to start a 1/4 inch down. Okay, so I want to create like a little bit of a 1/4 inch frame, and then I'm going to go all the way down. This is 5 inches, I think. So I'm going to go to 4 3/4, and then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to repeat that. So I'll start about the 1/4 inch mark. And then I repeat that on all 4 sides. And then when you flip it over, well, you can use it either way. You can use it this way or you can flip it over. Okay, let me just move this out of the way and I'll show you. Okay. So here you've got this nice frame. So this is debossed. You can see that the groove, this is the side that we embossed. But I'm going to flip it over so that we've got this nice raised detail. Okay, so this is it's a great little detail, simple, that you can add to your projects, especially if you're just doing like a couple layers and you've got something smaller as your focal point. All right, now I'm going to bring in some Balmy Blue ink and my blending brush. This is one of our small blending brushes, and I always like to tap off on a scrap. Just happen to have a little scrap here. So I'll just tap that off so that I don't get a harsh mark. And then very lightly, I'm going to add a little bit of blue in the background. So for those of you who are just joining us, we are creating 3 cards using the Friendly Gnomes stamp set from the January to April mini catalog. We've already created one. This is our second one. So you can add as much as you'd like. I'm going to start with that. I think that should be good. And then we're going to do some stamping. And we need to clean our stamps that we used the last time because I'm going to use the same blocks. And then I wanted a really narrow greeting for this particular card. You'll see why in a moment. So I pulled out this Share a Milkshake, and I'm going to use the word celebrate because I wanted to make a birthday card. And I absolutely love the font in this set. I hope that Stampin' Up! Comes out with more stamp sets with this font because it's seriously one of my favorites right now. And this celebrate, I've used it so much. Okay, so we are going to bring back a few things here. And we'll bring back our memento because we're going to color using Stampin' Blends again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp this little gnome on this piece of white. And then, you know what? We're going to save the rest. Actually, no, we can stamp the inside. We're going to do some more stamping on here, but it's helpful to have your gnome cut out first. So I'm going to stamp the greeting on the inside. It says, wishing you the most magical of birthdays. And we're also going to stamp a couple balloons on the inside. Okay, set that aside for now. We'll come back to that. But we're going to color in our gnome first and our balloons. So we are going to use, let's start with some suede. Hey there, Stampers. Okay, so I tried to do this as a Facebook Live. Partway through, I was booted off. So I will link in the description to where you can find the first half of this video, which is where I created this card and I started to create the second card. So I'm just going to pick up where I left off and finish up creating this card here. Now I just want to see which one is darker here. Okay, this one is darker. So I am using some Stampin' Blends to color in this Friendly Gnomes image. So this is, oh, this is light crumb cake. I used the wrong color. Okay. That should not have been light crumb cake. And this is SU 900. All right. So once your gnome is fully colored in, then we can use the coordinating die to cut him out, which is this guy right here. I'm going to bring in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. This is the boho blue one, which is a little peek at a new in color. And the only way that you can get this machine is by choosing option 1 and purchasing the starter kit. We have 3 different options for the starter kit during celebration, so until February 28th. Just going to use a little bit of washi tape just to hold this in place, make sure it doesn't move. And then we'll feed that through. Okay. Now we're going to bring back the base that we had started. And now I had suggested it was much easier to finish this card off once you had your gnome cut out. So I'm going to bring back my memento and we're going to do a little bit more stamping. So I want to stamp a balloon and I want it to look like he's holding it. So that's where he's going to go. Actually, maybe just a touch higher. So I'm going to stamp my balloon. And then I also want to stamp some grass. So I'm going to put him back. And we'll stamp a little bit of grass there. And one there. Oh, while we've got our black out, I want to stamp my celebrate. Okay. Isn't that font just fabulous? Oh, I love it. Okay, so now we need to finish coloring this off. Let's add some dimensionals to the back of him first. Pop him on here. Okay, now we're ready to finish assembling. The assembly is really easy on this one. because we basically just have the 2 layers, but with that nice detail, which you can see how I created that if you watch the first video, or the first part of that video. All right, that's just gonna get stuck right on there. Like that, and then this on the inside. And then we need to add our sequins. So our sequins, we're gonna use the blue assortment this time. And we'll pick out two of the bigger blue ones and then one of the smaller. To your card. All right. So there is card number 2. So here are 2 of the cards so far. We have 1 left to go. All right. So this time we are going to, okay, we got to clean our stamps. Okay. So we're going to start with our stamping. So on this piece of white that you've got in your kit, you'll stamp her. You'll stamp your greeting. Doesn't matter if it's upside down, we're going to cut it out, and you'll stamp the little bird. Okay. Now I've got one of these that's partly colored in, so we're going to go ahead and just finish this off. Now I've used some of the skin tone colors to color the face and the hands and a little bit of the feet. I used gray granite for her shoes, and I'm going to use some fresh freesia for her hat. All right, now we're going to go ahead and cut her out using the coordinating die. Okay, now we're going to bring in our pieces, and we're going to do a few things here. First of all, this piece here is going to get flagged, so I'm going to trim the end of it. So I'm going to find the center, just kind of trim up, and then trim up to that point to create like a little bit of a flag. And then this piece of DSP is going to go across the top. And then we've got a piece of linen thread that's going to get wrapped around. And we're going to tie a bow. All right, now we're going to fold our card in half, and we're going to bring in some fresh freesia ink and our blending brush. And we're going to do just a bit of ink blending kind of in behind here. just to add a bit of color to that white. And then we're going to take our rich raspberry blend. So I'm using the dark, and let's fold this so that it's a little bit better here. And we're going to do a little bit of splattering. So again, I wanted to keep the splatters so that they're kind of concentrated around there where my focal point image is going to be. Now this can get added to our card base. We're going to put it on flat. And I'm going to do an even border at the top and on the right hand side. And then our gnome is going to get popped up. And put in the center here. How cute is that? All right, now our greeting, we're gonna fussy cut around this, and I probably should have done this beforehand. Okay, now this is going to get popped up as well. Pop that on there like that. There's no one better than you. And you could turn that into a birthday, so you can stamp happy birthday on the inside. We have one last thing to do, and that is to add our bird. So I went ahead and I colored in the bird using some balmy blue. And we're just going to pop him up right on top here, right on top of the greeting. And then add our sequence. So this time I'm going to pull in the pink sequence. And we're going to use a little mix of a few things here. So I'm going to grab my paper piercing tool. First thing I'm going to grab is just one of these shimmery ones. Add a little dot on there. And pop that on there. And then I'm going to grab a halfback pearl. So I love the look of all this, like a mixture of sequins on your projects, or a smattering. Okay, then we'll grab another shimmery one. Sticking to my finger. Pop that on here. And another halfback pearl. This one's a little trickier to get off here. There we go. And then there is a tiny little, well, tiny, it's not really tiny, but a smaller pink one that we're going to add. And it's a really light pink. There we go. And there is our third card done. So just a reminder that these are the 3 card kits that you'll receive if you shop with me in February and use the host code. So with your $60 order, you'll receive a little package like this from me with the 3 card kits. And there's a little baggie with the sequence that you need for it. And then if you place $100 or more using the class host code, you'll receive the package, and then you'll receive a larger sampling of this fabulous sequence so that you'll be able to continue to use it over and over and over again. There's lots in there. It will last you a long time. All right, and that's in addition to the thank you card that you'll also receive from me. Okay, so I will link in the description below to where you can find photos of all these projects, and I'll try to combine the 2 videos to make it a little bit more seamless. All right, so sorry about the Wi-Fi issues. Thank you so much for those of you who were watching me while I was live. I apologize about that, but hopefully I can mash it all together and make it seem a bit more consistent. All right, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye, guys.